All right, that is my cue. I am so excited to be here, and thank you all that are in the room, and a few more coming in. It's super exciting to be here for our second annual virtual book reading event. Last year was absolutely incredible, and I feel like it was like a few days ago, and I just like my excitement. I woke up probably there was like a couple times in the night and I was like, is it 9 o'clock yet? Is it 9 o'clock yet? Just like super excited. So welcome. And I'm joining you from Roberts Creek, located in British Columbia, Canada. It has a rich history that predates European settlement. For thousands of years, both the Sechel and Squamish people utilize this area seasonally. The region is blessed with several salmon-bearing creeks that drain into the Salish Sea, providing an excellent source of food in an excellent source of food. So, in acknowledging the traditional territory, we respectfully recognize the unceded land of the Sechel people. And I personally express gratitude for them allowing me to work, live, and play on these lands. I invite you to take this moment to reflect on the lands that you're joining in from. I'll just give it about 30 seconds there. I also want to take this moment to acknowledge my ancestors who migrated from Guinea to Sierra Leone in West Africa. I was born in a small town called Kono, and because of my ancestors standing up for what they believe in, paving the way, and using their voice for the greater good, I am here with you as a result of their actions. So, my name is Rasie. I will be your host today. Super excited to do this. It's an honor. And a little bit about me, I support leaders in organizations with leadership training, coaching, and facilitation of workshops and retreats. I also support aspiring authors with the book development process from idea to publishing. And I do work with a team, with an editor on my team, and also a book design person on my team. I am also a best-selling author, so I've published three books and working on my fourth one at the moment. And I'm a board of director on two boards in British Columbia, advocating for businesses and youth. And I love public speaking and super excited to invite you to come as you are into the space. Either you have your camera on, your camera off, you can kick your feet back and lay back on your couch, make your next meal, sip on your favorite beverage, engage in the chat. Great things happen for us when we're honest with ourselves of where we're at and show up with that unapologetically. And I also invite you to take breaks as you see fit. It is a 3 hour event. We'll have a keynote speaker to start off the event with us, and also seven authors, writers, and poets who will be sharing their incredible masterpieces, and also an artist showcasing her art. This event was created to give authors the space to read and showcase their incredible work and to make the process look less intimidating for aspiring authors. I believe that anything is possible with clarity, focus, and intentional action. When you see the possibility for somebody else who's done it, walked it, it makes it look more possible for you on the other end, aspiring to be where they're at. So before writing my first best-selling book, Lead in Your Truth, I wrote one chapter each year and then another chapter. And then I did that on repeat every single year. I didn't know anything about the process of writing and publishing a book. I didn't know what it would look like, what it would feel like. And I got nowhere. And I didn't even complete a rough draft. Fast forward to 2020, I made the choice to write my book and published it the following year. There was one question that I needed to figure out so that I can lay a strong foundation for my first book. What am I getting into? Right? And this is why we have this space so that you can see what is possible. What does the process entail? And I have this message that needs to reach more leaders at that time. I connected with 30 plus authors and asked all the questions that I've been longing to have answers for. This cleared my path, and I'm now writing my fourth book. When I say that anything is possible with clarity, focus, and intentional action, I really mean it. If you don't know what to do next or have writer's block in your writing journey, reach out to someone who has been there, done that. Ask the questions. You'll be surprised how willing people are in supporting others through the journey. The reality is that, a lot of us authors in this room, we've been there. We know how challenging it can be. We know the support we had to tap into to get through to that first draft. So supporting each other is part of the process. As we go through this event, let me know what is resonating for you as you listen in and be inspired. So first, I want to introduce Jay, our tech support. Jay is somewhere. Jay, if you can wave or something like that. Thank you so much. And so Jay is a dedicated team player creating marketing materials and sharing content on our company page. I'm very grateful to work with him each day. There's a lot of things I could not have done without Jay in the picture. So thank you. And a little bit about Jay. He's a dynamic professional from Sao Paulo, Brazil, with a diverse career spanning customer service, nonprofit organizations, and administrative work for startups. With a passion for helping others and fostering growth, Jay brings a wealth of experience in managing operations and supporting organizational success. Having pursued his education in the United States, Jay also gained valuable international experience while working in Canada before returning to Brazil. I am so jealous. I want to be in Brazil with you right now. And he now continues to thrive professionally. Outside of work, Jay is an avid soccer fan and sushi enthusiast. I don't think I've met someone who loves sushi so much. And Jay is always seeking new ways to connect with people and explore different cultures. Welcome, Jay, and thank you for your support.
Thank you,
And
Rasie.
so now I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, Colleen McCubbin. I met Colleen at a Women in Publishing event earlier this year in March. And we met in a breakout room, and I really love how Colleen was like in the space and sharing a lot of insights. I was like, I need to have a longer conversation with her. So I reached out, and then it was one conversation after another, and now she's here to bless us with the keynote. A little bit about Colleen before I bring her onto the stage. Colleen believes in the power of story to change lives. She's the founder and chief creative officer at Serotonin. You can correct me, Colleen, if I said that incorrectly when you come to the stage. It is a boutique publisher that works with committed authors in collaborative community to produce compelling books. She lives in Calgary, Alberta, with her husband and two dogs. Welcome to the stage, Colleen. All yours.
Thank you so much, Rasie. Um, I listened to a few podcasts, interviews with you to try and lock your pronunciation into my brain. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Uh, so I'm just changing my view here so I can see everybody. Well, I'm so happy to be here. It was such a delight to meet Rasie last year at the Women in Publishing Summit, and then I confess it was a bit of a surprise, and it was also a delight to have her reach out to me and invite me to join you today. And so I am a publisher, as Rasie says. I grew up loving books, and I can I share my screen? Is that allowed? I'm going to send a request. I have a few little pictures to show you. So,
There you go.
okay. So I went to college because I wanted to be a teacher, and I put money in my pocket for a little while, 2 summers as a waitress, and I was not a good waitress. I was a terrible waitress. And one day a lady stopped me and said this to me, "Waitressing isn't your calling, is it, dear?" I said, "No, no, I want to be a writer. I wanted to work with words." Oh, I was terrible. I was the waitress who forgot your order and dropped things. Like I actually dropped food in somebody's lap one time, and so it was not good. I got some pity tips. I know I did. So I'm not a waitress. I am what I would call, let's change my picture here. I'm a poetess. I had a friend who gave me a poetry book, and there was a quote from Elizabeth Barrett Browning on that book that said, England has many learned women, but where are the grandmothers? I look everywhere for poetesses and find none. So when I went to grad school, I did an arts thesis and I wrote songs and poems. And one of my songs was, I called it Poetess. And the chorus, I'll sing it for you, goes, I am a poetess. And one day I will take my place among the grandmothers and wise women. I am a poetess. Between the silences, I hear stories and find the words to speak. And so that is why I'm here today, because we're talking about the power of telling our stories. And I've known for a long time that I hear stories and find the words to speak. And there's something about like the older I get, and I know I look a little younger than I actually am, but I'm going to be a grandmother in March. Wait, literally taking my place among the grandmothers. And the older I get, the more I realize the importance of the wisdom that we gain from life. You know, when I was in high school, I went to a jazz camp. No, not a jazz camp, a music camp. And I got to sing in a jazz ensemble for the first time. And we sang, I think, is it Helen Reddy's song, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar? No, Linda Ronstadt. Who sang that song? I am woman, hear me roar, and numbers too big to ignore. And I know too much to go back to pretend. I had no clue when I was in high school what that meant, the implications of those words. Now I have some clues about the implications of I know too much to go back to pretend. This picture is from the album where that song, Poetess, is recorded, and I'll just read it to you. I don't know if you can see it. Once upon a time and very far away, there lived two great great grandmothers. Great great grandmother Johns cried as she packed a trunk to be shipped out west to Saskatchewan from Ontario for her daughter Harriet, a young bride to be. Along with her tears, she tucked in love in an intricate handmade quilt. In Texas, great great grandmother Buchanan made a contract between two daughters. The older daughter, Jewel, was given piano lessons by my great grandma, Osie. If each girl fulfilled her part, she would receive a reward of jewelry. In her wisdom, great great grandmother realized that the real reward was the music. I've inherited the quilt and the music. Like my great grandma's quilt, this album is made up of pieces of life, lovingly put together with music. May you be warmed by this patchwork quilt of my life. So I was thinking, why do we write? In September, I went to a workshop that was about writing a writer's manifesto, creating a writer's manifesto. And it's funny because I've been writing my whole life. I help authors bring books into the world. I've made a couple of I've recorded a couple of CDs, albums. I've written lots and lots of papers. I've written a thesis. I've written a lot. But that session, for the first time, I realized, why do I write? And here are some things that I was able to articulate. I write to be anchored, grounded, and settled. I write to explore thoughts and feelings inside myself, to make sense of experiences and events, to record messages from God and other people, to remember, reorder, reorganize, reorient, to find the right words to speak, to discern what's mine to do and mine to finish, because I hear stories, because I'm a poetess. So I wanted to ask you, this, you know what? One thing that surprised me here is to be anchored, grounded, and settled. And I've often thought, I heard a quote one time, if we cry when we're writing, that's catharsis. But if other people cry when they read it, that's craft. Isn't that powerful? I'll find the quote and give it to you. If we cry, I can't find the place to stop sharing. Oh, here we go. If we cry when we write, that's catharsis. If other people cry when they read it, that's craft. And I often tell authors, in fact, I got a message from one of my aunts today. Her husband died in the spring, and she's been very, very busy just taking care of all of the things that you need to take care of after a loved one dies, especially a spouse. And now she's finally got some time and she feels like she still has to do. And she said she just this morning, she was like, "What am I supposed to do?" And she thought for a while and got, you're not here to do, you're here to heal. And one of the interviews that I heard, one of Rosie's interviews, she said, if we don't do something about it, we become our trauma. And I think sometimes that doing is the writing where we tell our stories to ourselves first. And we have to we tell our stories to reorder and reorient ourselves. And we have to get it clear in our own minds and hearts and souls before we can really put it out into the world. And I think so there's this back and forth where writing is necessarily a solitary act. And we have to start in our own space, at our own desk or in our own chair. We have to start where we are, and then we can move out to other people. And we have to come back to that private space, and then ultimately we do have to go out to the public space and share it. If we've been given a message, then why who are we to hold it back? Who are we to hold it back? So when we yeah, I just think about Rosie, the work that you've done in processing your own trauma that I heard just little bits about it in those interviews that I heard. And I'm so grateful that you processed it and that you are open about it. And it really helped. I haven't read much of your work yet, but I've heard it. And that's another thing. There's so many ways. It doesn't have to be a book. The book is just part of the whole picture. The book is um, the book is kind of like the hinge point for most people. There's a lot that can and should happen before the book, and there is a lot that can and should happen beyond the book. And the book is just like in some cases you might say it's a souvenir of your experience, and it becomes a souvenir of other people's encounters with you or their own experiences. It's like a milestone. Sometimes you say, "Here, I am done with this season of life, and I'm going to mark it with a book, and I'm going to share that with the world, and I'm going to move on." And sometimes it's just a gift, you know. We have a delightful story or some kind of entertaining story, a terrifying story, whatever. It's a gift that we give to other people. And so there's so many reasons why we write. And I think we need to recognize both our need for it and other people's need for what we've got. But that catharsis and craft thing, what comes out in catharsis is so messy sometimes. It should be, right? That first draft is, there's a writer named Marion Roach Smith. She teaches about and writes memoir, and she calls the first draft your vomit draft. You just have to get it out. And and Anne Lamott calls it something else. You can read her work and find out what Anne Lamott calls the first draft. Um, the first draft is usually not worth publishing. No, it might not even be worth sharing, but it's an important step in the big process. It's an important because it's often that catharsis if you're working through something personal, or it's just the initial capture of these ideas that are floating around waiting for you to grab them and make them into something. Um, Sometimes I mentioned that writing is necessarily solitary. but it's not necessarily isolated. And sometimes we write because other people are calling for it, calling for it, calling for it. So this is one of the first books that we published when I went full time in publishing. Treasures Gained in This Land is just a little wee memoir by a woman named Ruth Dueck, who spent 42 years of her life in Japan. And she she actually wrote it first in Japanese and then translated it to English when she came back to Canada. And her friend, Reverend, I can't pronounce Japanese. She had a friend who and colleague who would call her like every day, I think, and say, "How's your book?" Yes, yes. Here she writes about it in her prologue. My 42 years in Japan seemed to fly by in some ways, and in other ways they felt like a long, long time. How do you put 42 years into a small book? Pastor Comido, a fellow pastor, was a great support and encourager in the process. I felt I didn't have time, but he kept at me with phone calls asking, "Have you started writing yet? How far have you come in your homework? How's your book coming along?" These weekly calls began to cause me to fret and lose sleep. So I asked God, "What do you want me to do? Please show me. Tomorrow morning, after my quiet time and breakfast, I will go to my computer and pray for your leading." You can imagine my utter surprise the next morning when the thoughts just flowed. 6 hours later, I had the concept for a book, the title, chapter headings, and the first chapter written. I knew then I had to write it. I first wrote the book in Japanese to give to my friends, fellow coworkers, and 6 churches that I had pioneered as a farewell gift. Out of 500 books, I came back to Canada with 36 after 2.5 months. That's pretty that's pretty amazing. 500 books and she sold almost all of them. Sold them or gave them away after 2.5 months. But I love that. I love that. Sometimes the compulsion to write is inward and sometimes it's external. Sometimes other people are like, you have to do this. And you're like, no. So it's show of hands. How many of you have that inner compulsion to write? Like, I just have to write. And how many of you have been pushed and pulled by other people saying you need to write your story? And how many of you have had both? Yeah. I've got somebody right now going, "When are you writing your book? When are you writing your book?" The book that I'm going to publish. I've written a lot. I've written so much, but to gather it all together, to organize it all and turn it into a book is another story. I'd rather do that for other people. It's we always see clearly other people's problems and we're and other people's brilliance and we're too close to our own problems or and even geniuses, I think. So, um, how much more time have I got? I haven't been watching the clock. 5 minutes. Okay. And uh, I want to hear a little more from you. I'm going to mention a few books, but I'm not going to go into it because you can always buy them and read them yourself, right? But these are a few of the authors that I've worked with who just felt a compulsion and I want to mention them for whatever reason. So this is a book called Jar of Tears, and it's a kid's chapter book, but it's not an easy book. It's not the kind of book that you would just hand to a kid and say enjoy, because her motivation was she lost her mom when she was 9, quite suddenly, and she didn't have a chance to grieve, and she didn't know when she was a child that she could. And when she was in her 30s, she met a counselor who said, "You have unfinished grief," and helped her learn how to finish it. And so, and this woman became Kathleen Templeton. She became a teacher, an elementary teacher, and she wrote this book to help adults as much as to help children and to help them understand children's grief and give them some clues and some tools for facing that. There's a stepmother in the book. It's loosely based on the author's own experience. And it's just it's one of those books that was cathartic for her and it makes us cry when we read it too. Um, Interestingly, she's won 13 awards and counting for this book already. But one day I was in a little Zoom meeting, smaller than this one, and a young mom came on, and the first thing she did was hold up this book. And she said, "When's the right time to give this book to your 12-year-old?" And and I said to Kathleen later, like that mom, her husband was in the final stages of cancer and he lost the fight 2 weeks later. And this book had helped that mother prepare to help her daughters through the experience of losing their dad. Those girls will not have the same kind of unfinished grief that Kathleen had to suffer most of her life because this book is in the world. And and Kathleen's awards are exciting. There's something to talk about. But that woman, there's a passage in the Bible where um, that says, "You yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone." And I said to her, that young man, that young woman is your letter written on your heart. That is more than any award you could ever win. Is that the gift that you've given to that young woman and her daughters to help them move through their grief? This is one of the first memoirs that I published, The Ninth Child. And this woman had an experience, one experience of being sexually abused at 6 years old, and it broke her brain. And and this book documents her life growing up on the farm. Many things about it seemed idyllic, but there was a context that was the reason why the sexual abuse was so traumatic for her. And she talks about how she came out of it. And she wrote it for her nieces and nephews first, and then realized there was a book for the wider world. And she's doing so much beyond the book. It's beautiful because the book is only one thing. The book is only one part of the whole picture. And I could go on, but I just want to encourage you to listen, to take that time alone, to take that time with other people, to lean in and listen, but also to have the courage and the conviction to speak and to really go back and forth, to know that whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you love speaking or writing, or whether you just feel like you have to, um, whatever your motivation, whatever your abilities, you are here because you have a gift. You have a gift to educate, to inform, to entertain, to inspire, and and you need to offer it. So, and that's what we're doing today, right? We're offering our gifts to one another so that it can be less intimidating for even the second book. Like, Rosie, you're on your fourth book. Did you have a sense of trepidation sometimes with subs each new project?
Oh boy, they're all so different. It's like I can write a book about that book from writing it. It's wild. Yeah, I have like a Word document I call a parking lot. It's like all
Yes,
these different things that I experienced personally. It's quite powerful.
yes, yes. So do we have a minute or two to just in the chat have people put a well, actually I haven't been watching the chat very closely, have
There's a
I?
lot happening in the chat.
It's hard to watch the chat when you're the one talking. Um, have we got why do we write? Why do, I'd love to hear that from you. Why do you write? What just one line that you might put in a writer's manifesto if you were to write one? Oh, to share my healing. Yes. Ideas worth sharing. What kind of ideas? How do you say your name? Chennai? Can I?
Can I? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were talking earlier about healing. It's things that you see happening in, I guess, human development or in the lives of people you know and things you wish someone would tell them. And so you decide to tell more people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to share a different perspective. I love personality and work style assessments, that sort of thing. And one of in the Strengths Finder, one of the 34 themes is connectedness. Not everybody has connectedness in their top 10. Some people have it in their bottom 10 and they don't the connections between A and B aren't obvious. And that's a gift to bring that perspective, that way of seeing, to encourage and inspire because people want their stories to be told. Oh, Marlo, you're writing other people's stories mostly. Where is Marlo? There you are. Hi.
Um,
Beautiful.
awesome.
Okay, we're gonna move
Yeah.
on. Thank you, Rasie.
Thank you, Colleen. I know there's like so much we could hear from you. And,
Mm,
Jay shared the link to Colleen's website. I invite you to connect with her. Like I said, the first time I heard her speak, I was like, I want to have more conversation. It's just very light and welcoming and with ease. Um, yeah, so Colleen, thank you so much for all of those insights. And wow, so many books for people to choose from to go and read next. There's a lot of options. I really invite you to click on that link, and we'll also share with you next week in an email with all of that captured together. Thank you so much, Colleen. Thank
oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's going to take us to the next author, poet, writer, all of things. So Marlo Browne. So I don't know if you follow Marlo on Instagram. He's literally everywhere. Like there's so many events that I go to. Marlo's there. It's wild. Like and the thing is too, like I am such a big fan of his work because either it's like his books or his spoken poetry or his humility when you're in a conversation with them or in that space. I am just always inspired. So a little bit about Marlo before he gets to share with us what he has today. Marlo Browne is a Barbadian poet and author who has self-published 4 books. You heard that right, 4. All books are available on Amazon and UEL Marketplace on Granville Island in British Columbia. His work spans several topics such as social justice, mental well-being, love, race, health disorders, and many more. His business, A Pint of Knowledge, was also nominated in the Best Solopreneur category at the Black Excellence Awards in 2023. Marlo is also the current Poetry Slam champion of the Love Jones Poetry Showcase and was a part of the inaugural the Love James Book Festival. And you'll see him at many events showcasing online and offline. All right, Marla, I'm opening up the floor to you. All yours.
Thank you so much, Rasie. Thank you everyone. I just want to turn my camera off because I'm going to be reading from all 4 books. So I don't want to take up too much time flipping in between books. So that's why I'm going to turn it off while reading. I hope everybody is comfortable with that. Give me a minute.
Come as you are. We got you.
Okay, so the first poem that I'm going to be doing is actually from my first book called Pictorial. And a little bit about this piece. I speak on um sexual abuse to a child. And it was one of my favorite poems that I have written for my first book, and it's called Priceless. Can anyone tell me the price of removing a child's innocence so that we can efficiently evaluate the effect so that she won't accept defeat? Tears flow from her irises since she was innocent enough for his innocence to betray him like an unsure kidnapper. Yet he insisted, pushing his penis in until he penetrated her pudenda, causing bloodshed. She was a virgin, yet in his mind, she deserved it. Teasing him with that short, skimpy pants while walking slowly past him without saying a word. She looked mature and he had to talk to that, so he moved forward without noticing the sudden bulge in his pants. She was only 14, yet she talked with an intelligence of a 24-year-old, never yielding to the sound of sweet words, for she knew that they were lies. Instead, She remained calm, yet bored. He was anxious to the point that salty sweat was coming down his forehead. He grabbed her, eager to take her home like a satisfied student showing off his report card. That was his memory. As he pushed harder and harder, she screamed for him to stop, but he didn't. Like an ecstasy addict who was unaware of his surroundings, he continued. He was a feeble stalking his prey like a shark waiting for a flying fish or a lion hunting a gazelle. For that hour of pleasure, he was going to pay it. Now this adding for listening to testimonies attentively like a lecturer looking at a PowerPoint presentation. He was smiling, figuring that the jury will rule in his favor. Hush money had been paid to the plaintiff's mother as he recalled telling her daughter to hush that night. She looked at him, whimpering in fear like a dog that had been left in the cold. Her mother needed the money, since she was also in a predicament, single, yet beautiful, hardworking, but her boss only noticed her big buttocks. She noticed, like a forensic pathologist trained to look for clues surrounding an unnatural death. She noticed as he grabbed it, squeezing it, all the while he was smiling. She slapped him. He laughed. What could she do? Who would believe her? So that her sexual harassment goes unnoticed. She desperately needed the money, yet her daughter was bruised. Not like a scratch that you would get from falling from a bike. She was emotionally drained, tired. This bruise was going to stay with her like a birthmark. She can never cherish that first time. No. Instead, she was just a worn out rag doll that her owner had gotten tired of. While he smirked smugly like a sadistic serial killer about to strike his next victim. Waiting, waiting. Finally, the foreman is ready with the verdict, handing it over to the judge. She pauses, looks up with no expression, then hands it back. As the decision is being made, imagine his facial expression as they rule against him. Priceless. Thank you. Okay, I'll go on to the second book. And this one, my second book is called Marlo Browne Presents the Young and Gifted. And I'll do a poem called Used to Love Poetry. And this was a time in my life that I thought that poetry was undervalued and I didn't like it anymore. So here goes. I used to love poetry. No, I don't. Back then, we used the expression to provoke thoughts and evoke emotions. Verses were carefully crafted, packed with literary devices. Now, poems are genre specific, so one can clearly see what the voice is. Even when we were venting, the flows were smooth like butter, keeping readers salivating like greasy mouths anticipating their ham cutters. Now they are dry, making the readers desert us as if we were residing in the Sahara, where there's no oasis of creative thought. Sorry. Instead, past personal experiences drive us, so we shift gears, turbocharged to escape our melancholy, while the tears behind our pens are what you cannot see. We are broken, as if we are crayons that are unwanted. So if we could rewind time to the point where we wrote our best, then that would be the point where we truly lived. Passion endures, fearless, zamindars to our thoughts. So with every verse, the tax goes up. Yet we chose to hold on, like delinquent tenants refusing to leave, even though they have been handed several eviction notices. I used to love poetry. No, I don't. We used to have freedom of speech. Now we are free to be dumb or silent. Say the wrong thing, and our culture is to cancel, denigrated like the homeless, verbally abused, degraded on different platforms since they are the experts of the media. What happened to our voice? Every consonant and vowel inspired like lit a fire on the buttocks of creatives so that the motivation mustered up gained momentum like a riot in 2020. We used to write for everybody, irrespective of color, class, creed, or gender. We used to have pride. Now that seems to have a different meaning. So let me take it back. While you could bear witness, wait patiently as Marlo Browne presents the young and gifted. Thank you. All right. So that was the warm up. Thank you so much. Now we're going to get into some of the heavier stuff, and I'll give you one of my favorite poems that I have ever written, and it comes from my third book. Um, I say this because my third book is special because I utilize my two backgrounds, my health background, as I have a master's in public health, and my artistic background. So I wanted to talk about some serious stuff in this third book. I hear it goes stereotypical. She said, if you are truly a writer, then write me a story with words that are more meaningful to me than my reality. Let your consonants cater to my creative consternations while they caress me as they combine with vowels to create cute compositions that leave me enthused and enchanted by the energy that you exude when you speak to me. I feel hurt sometimes, yet this hypomanic episode keeps me going and going, not like the Energizer Bunny, but I push past plateaus of paranoia so that people are unable to perceive my psychosis. Still, I feel hurt. I dance with depression, daunted by debts that leave me debilitated. I dive into the depths of despair, defined by a defeatist declaration. They don't understand. They push, surprised that my mood swings back and forth. Now I am your pendulum, since you know the frequency of my oscillations. To the average person, they may think that I am moody, yet you know that this isn't stereotypical. I have bipolar 2 disorder. He said, if you're an artist, then create a canvas where my solitude can find solace in slumber. Be the Van Gogh painting my starry night so that I can have a sense of belonging. Placate the poor, portray their petitions with each brush stroke while placing potato eaters amongst the upper echelons, illustrating that there's beauty in the struggle. Allow me to reminisce about Rembrandt's Return of the Prodigal Son as I try to regain my place in civilization. I thought that I was selectively social, yet my antisocial personality disorder causes me to treat those that I love with a callous indifference. Change my mindset while I digress from the fact that I care nothing about your feelings. I need help. I tried to find love, yet my past endeavors taught me that they were incapable of showing it. Those Mona Lisas can never catch my heart, while you became the Da Vinci painting the portrait of my life, while increasing awareness of the disorder that affects my social well-being. It said, if you're a poet, then scribe me a stanza where you found me a family where I haven't created victims. You can be my Etheridge Knight, dying on the call of duty from my shrapnel wound, yet resurrected from the sweet smell of my perfume. Narcotics could be your comfort, catapulting you to instant success as we put together pieces of poems that take you away from the prison of your mind. You cannot escape me. I've ripped families apart, leaving the tattered pieces of their hearts on the ground. Grounded in toxicity, I made wives cry every time their husbands turn to the bottle. I'm one of the factors that lead to domestic abuse. I claimed over 1 million lives in the US in 2021 through overdoses. So tell me, how can you stop me by increasing awareness? Hi, my name is addiction. Even in the midst of a pandemic, opioid addiction has become an epidemic. So tell me, how can you slow me down when I enhance your creativity? Why would you stop me when I can make you a high-functioning individual? Count your losses, give up, and give in, for I have won. Thank you. Okay, so for the last one, comes from my recent book that came out last year, and it's called The Life and Times of a Poet. The book is called The Life and Times of a Poet. And I was thinking about which one to do from this book. Should I do a classic love poem? Should I do a deeper poem? So I decided I did this poem at an event last year in June. And it started as a collab. Just trying to find it. Yes. It started as a collab and it's called Horrible Truths Part 2. So I'll only give you my side of what we did. Yes. If I could be a mentor for the youth, then I will show them that even on our worst days, a man is never perceived as a victim. So we suffer in silence when the people that we trust are too busy to listen. With our hearts burning, we are just supposed to go on with our days. too depressed to show a smile. So with a hard jaw and straight face, we have to keep on pushing. An internal catastrophe which can lead to an increase in suicide, yet onlookers will get on as if they are not part of the problem. So let me provide a story from my past so that you can cite my life as a reference. I fell in love with the idea of someone which led to cruel complications, yet before I delve deeper into that, let me start at the beginning. She was a sweet and passionate person, driven to meet her goals, self-motivated to achieve them by a certain time, so her vision was laser focused. I played Russian roulette with my heart and tested Lady Luck to see if I would be as successful with her as I had been in my career. So I approached. We hit it off instantaneously, two talented and academic intellectuals who had progressed substantially in their careers. So we thought that the chemistry and compatibility were already there. So our dates moved from simple dinners to lavish international vacations. With no time to slow down, we dived deep into a relationship, head first, in sync like a set of synchronized swimmers. Our lives seemed perfect. The sex was steaming. Then everything changed that night when she said that she was pregnant. With my big boy pants on, I accepted the challenge and counted down the months that it took until her water broke. Then it arrived. The flurry of excitement as we were about to become new parents. The rush to the hospital was insane. We knew that the process would be long, 12 hours of labor. Yet I waited some more until the doctors came up with a baby girl. At first, everything seemed fine. Then in the first 18 months, I noticed that she struggled with daily activities. Then as another year passed, I noticed that she was very adamant about the colors that she wore. So I wanted to go to the doctor in order to test her for autism spectrum disorder. You froze, knowing that no one in your family tree had a history with developmental disorders. Yet we went, and the doctor confirmed my suspicion. Then I also asked for a paternity test since I knew two things. First, my family tree also had no history with developmental disorders, and the second was that we were in our late 20s, so our baby was at a lower risk to have complications. Time passed. With the test results revealed, I realized that I was not the one for her to call dad. You had cheated, and when I asked why, you said to me, I did not necessarily want a man. Instead, I wanted a family, a child to call my own since I had everything else. You were just a potential sperm donor, always an option, never a priority. Yet you are not the only one. Heartbroken at time and energy invested, I had to swallow the pill and learn the life lesson so that I can begin to distinguish between who really loved me and who was only there for their convenience. That was my horrible truth. Thank you so much.
Wow. There's just so many topics there, like, like I feel like after we need time to digest like all that you've shared. Marlo, thank you so much for bringing those topics to light through your work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I want to remind everyone listening in, come as you are. If you want your camera on, great. You want it off, that's okay. And I also encourage you to let us know what is resonating for you in the chat as you listen in. And so I'm going to bring up our next author, Lucas. So Lucas Jacques. I met Lucas's mom earlier this year. And when she shared about Lucas's published book on LinkedIn, I got really excited because I'm always buying kids' books for the tiny humans in my life. And it is inspiration filled. I've been reading it personally with my stepdaughter. And a little bit about Lucas. He's an inspiring 11-year-old entrepreneur. Founded Brasia Leto by Lucas at age 7. I apologize if I said that incorrectly. He won the Alberta Building Futures contest in 2023 with a video on money management. Passionate about community, Lucas actively fundraises and donates to various causes. He loves swimming, soccer. Sounds like you and Jay gotta go and play some soccer, and the kids' gym. Trilingual in Spanish, English, and French, Lucas enjoys learning history and traveling. which fuels his curiosity and adaptability. His book encourages self-regulation and self-knowledge, reflecting his dedication to making a positive impact. All right, Lucas, I am opening the floor to you. I cannot see you. I'm not sure if your intention is to stay off camera, which is okay. Let us know. And I'm just gonna pin you.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Take your time.
No?
What about now?
And still, we still can't see you.
Okay.
We're patient.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, if not, you can go.
Now?
No.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna share my book on screen, but I'll start. The name.
Oh, Lucas, we can't hear you right now. If you want to turn your mic on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go for it. All yours. Thank you.
So the name of the book is The Light Within by Jacques. Dedicated to all of the beautiful kids and adults who want to find their light. LJ. There was a boy named Ben. He was a very sweet, kind, and joyful kid. He spent his days playing in the forest beneath his parents' house, talking to animals and following butterflies wherever they went. He loved swimming in the lake and talking to the old oak trees. However, what he loved the most was to hear all of the sounds around him: the chirping of the frogs, the howling of the wolves, the rattles of the trees, the raindrops filling up the lake, and the leaves breaking beneath his feet. When he was in the forest, he could feel the warmth of the sun on his face, and the air blowing and moving his hair, the drops of rain rolling down his cheeks. Ben's days in the forest were filled with wonder and joy. Every sound, every sensation seemed to speak to him in a language only he understood. In the forest, he simply felt at home. A Tuesday afternoon, Ben was playing with the rocks near the lake when he heard a very unusual sound. It was like a whistling sound, but not one of the whistles from the birds, frogs, or grasshoppers from the forest. So he decided to explore. When he turned around to see who made the noise, he saw another kid around his age approaching. Ben was excited to have another kid to play around with. Ben went with excitement to meet his new friend. "What's up, mate?" said Liam. "Hello, I'm Ben," said Ben with a big smile. Liam's parents had recently moved to the neighborhood, and he was exploring their surroundings. They became friends instantly. During the following days, Ben and Liam spent as much time as possible exploring and playing in the forest. Their explorations got them to find a beautiful waterfall, a secret bat cave, and many wild berries that could fill their bellies if they craved a quick snack. So they called it the magical forest. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years, and their friendship blossomed quickly. Fueled by their shared sense of wonder and discovery, Ben and Liam became inseparable friends, bonded by their shared love of the forest and their thirst for adventure. The night before Ben's 10th birthday, he had a dream. The next morning, Ben got out of bed and ran to find Liam on the front porch. Liam, I had the most amazing dream ever, said Ben. What was it? Liam replied with curiosity. Let's go to the magical forest. I will tell you when we get there, said Ben. I was in a magical forest when I saw a colorful heart painted in the sky, with a center golden, beautiful and bright light. Ben felt warm, cozy. He felt safe. He wanted to touch it. Ben continued. Suddenly, a voice coming from the colorful cloud said, Find this light within you. Ben woke up a bit confused. He didn't know what it all meant, so he decided to share with his best pal. As he told Liam all about it, Liam listened with great attention and instantly remembered his grandma. She always spoke about the power of dreams and their connection with the higher self. She was a old, loving woman, and Liam felt great every time she was around. The idea of the higher self got Ben even more curious. It was the first time he had heard such a term. Do you think your grandma knows about the light? Asked Ben. I'm sure she does, said Liam, with sparkling eyes and a big smile. A new project was just born at that very moment. Two boys, a dream, and a light to find. Grandma, we need to talk to you about something very important, said Liam. I'm all ears, dear, she replied. What do you know about the light within? Asked Ben. Oh boy, now you've got my attention. Let's sit down and I will tell you all about it, replied Grandma with a big smile. The three of them sat down in a circle. They held hands, and she asked them to close their eyes and follow along her voice. What do you know about the light? Asked Grandma. A voice in my dream told me to search for it within me, replied Ben. Then we will search for the light, said Grandma. Now, if you want to do this meditation alongside the while I read, you're welcome to. Let's take a slow, deep breath into your nose and out through your mouth. Let's repeat that 3 times. Now let's try and listen and feel the sound of your heartbeat. Can you feel it? Yes, replied the boys, excited. Excellent, she said and continued. Now try and concentrate on the breathing and the heartbeat and allow all of the other thoughts to pass through. Now let's go into a magical place. Imagine a place that brings you joy, peace, and a calming sensation. Are you there yet? She asked. Yes, they both replied with a big smile. Then focus your mind on the feeling that you are having in that magical place. She said. The boys imagined the magical forest, of course, and all of the sounds, feelings, and sensations it brought them. Keep breathing and walking in this magical place. Can you feel the warmth of your hearts? Asked Grandma. Oh, yeah, it's so powerful, said Liam. It's like heat in my chest, said Ben. That's fabulous, said Grandma. Now, what color is the power that you feel? It's white, said Ben. And it's blue for me, said Liam. Magnificent work, boys, she continued. Now let's expand that feeling and color all around your body. Even create a bubble outside of your body from that surrounds, and it filled with it. Now let's take another deep breath and realize that this is your magical soul. This is who you are and how you shine the world from the inside out. Now let's take one last deep breath. Open your eyes slowly and start moving your body. We can stand up continued Grandma. That's it, cried Ben. We found the light. He started jumping up and down with excitement. They laughed, hugged, and continued eating delicious cookies. While Grandma was about to leave, she called the boys and told them, "Now you found the light. That's the easy part. From now on, the difficult part is to continue the contact with it, so you can be connected with your inner power." Grandma knew that the task wasn't easy. They needed to take a leap of faith to find their true essence. She told them to be consistent and believe in themselves so she can continue this great path they just opened. Both boys practiced for weeks. However, they weren't able to find the light as before. The harder they tried, the more difficult and frustrating the process was. I think that's my time.
Wow. Lucas, thank you so much. Wow. I couldn't help it but breathe when you're asked when you're reading that take a deep breath and feeling the heartbeat and the warmth. Thank you very much for inspiring us to pause with that and remembering to breathe. I You won't be disappointed in picking up Lucas's book on Amazon. It's quite inspiring, especially if you have little ones, nieces and nephews. It's quite powerful. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you.
All right. I'm still like it just feels so good. It's to listen in. I just want to take a second. All right, so let me bring up our next author and writer for it. Many, many, many things that she does. Okay, so first, I don't think I've said this to you, Precious. So Precious is our next poet and writer that's coming up to the stage, Precious Alay. And when I think of public speaking, and literally in every conversation I have with different people where they're like, I want to improve my presentation skills, I want to improve my speaking skills. And I was like, you got to go check out Precious's content on LinkedIn and on Instagram and in many different places. So I am super excited and honored that you're blessing us with your presence today. Precious is doing incredible work in her space. She's a TEDx and keynote speaker, storyteller, spoken word poet, strategic facilitator, award-winning consultant. She's a certified executive coach, project management professional, and certified public participation professional. She's a 5 times board director and co-founder and principal of Impact Plus Consulting. Precious specializes in public speaking, executive presence, and business storytelling, and transforming team/stakeholder conflict, lack of alignment, or buy-in on high-stakes projects into high performance. She holds a master's degree in community development from the University of Victoria. She was nominated for a YWCA Woman of Distinction Award for service excellence and contribution to youth development in BC. All right, Precious, the stage is yours. We can't hear you right now. Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Rasie. I was just getting settled in. Chapter 1, Find Your Voice. Find and own your voice. To truly master public speaking is to master yourself, to master the power of your voice. Mastering public speaking is a lifelong journey of personal mastery. That's the quote I'd love to leave you with today. Overcoming the inner critic. Whose voice are you listening to? The critical voice or the voice of the champion? This question popped into my mind one afternoon as I pondered why I should dedicate my life to focusing on what matters. My calling in public speaking and coaching leaders on how to communicate with confidence, with influence, and impact. I knew I was onto something. I didn't realize it yet. Over time, I realized that mastering public speaking begins with noticing what voices I allow to speak into my mind and my heart. I started noticing the power of what I choose to listen to or who I choose to believe. Growing up, my family believed in me. Now I realize this may not be the case for everyone. I'll invite you to self-coach for a moment. Think back to someone in your life that believed in you. In the next 30 seconds, reflect on words of affirmation or acknowledgement that they've said to you. Soak in how deeply meaningful those words are to you right now. Now, write them down. Don't self-edit. That's the number one principle with public speaking. To master how to speak in public, you must master yourself. Mastering yourself is an intentional choice every moment, every day. When you have a chance to breathe your thoughts into words, to speak without self-editing. Here's what I mean by self-editing. Self-editing is choosing to erase, to ignore, or diminish aspects of who you are and what makes you unique. For example, when I first moved from Nigeria to Canada, I felt the pressure to hide my Nigerianness because of the stereotype of a growing number of Nigerians who were 419, a code word for France. In another instance, I would attend networking events where I didn't have a choice except to talk to people and worry about my accent, how I sounded, and if I would be seen as a leader. In those moments, I self-edited by not owning that I was Nigerian or Nigerian enough, or questioning whether I would be understood. I shrank who I was to fit into networking and leadership spaces. At other times, I edited myself completely out of the picture by not attending these speaking engagements. I no longer had the bandwidth for accepting the status quo. I felt defeated in speaking up and speaking out, and speaking to lead. I let the critical voice win. Time would pass until I realized that by shrinking and not showing up, I was silencing my voice. And that act of silence is a form of speaking in itself. I was directly saying that I didn't think I was worthy of being present, that I didn't have the confidence to bet on myself or believe that I was worthy of being seen, heard, and understood. And that by not letting myself be seen, heard, and understood, I was getting in the way of using public speaking to reach thousands or millions of leaders at scale so that they too could feel seen, heard, and understood. The stakes were high. It was time to face these limiting beliefs. I wasn't sure where to begin. Accepting myself. Then something changed. I went through a season of being completely low and lacking in the basic necessities of life. I struggled to make my rent payments. Somehow, God came through for me when I thought I just couldn't get my rent in time. I had to make difficult choices between paying my rent or getting groceries for the month. It was in this low place that I turned to my faith to get through the challenging circumstances, and to find my voice again. I regained my sense of self. It was like I had woken up from a deep sleep. I felt like the fog in my mind was clearing. I spent more time praying about my purpose and calling in life. I grew deeper in my faith in Christ. It was then I saw who I really was. A woman of faith with a powerful gift of speaking. I remembered the words of a mentor from November of 2020. These were the words she said to me. You will be known for the power of your words. Mark my words. Give it 5 years. I realized that words have power. I believe that God called me to share this purpose and this gift for the world. And it was through speaking that I learned to own my voice and accept the gifts of imperfection. My gifts were strengths, my journey, the messiness of all of it all, and my unique experiences. You might wonder, what does accepting oneself have to do with public speaking? As a leader, an author, an executive, or an entrepreneur, you are already high performing. You may be used to the performance of speaking. You may be in situations that require speaking, and you've pulled yourself by the bootstraps and figured it out anyways. You may also be very confident in who you are as a person. You may know what you stand for and believe in. You've demonstrated results, started your company, built it from the ground up, expanded a team across cities, countries, or continents. You're overachieving in your field, your industry, or sector. You are a thought leader. To truly master public speaking is to master yourself. Mastering public speaking is a lifelong journey of personal mastery. What you say to yourself, what do you accept? Even as a confident, high achieving, or high performing leader matters. Let's try self coaching together. How often do high achieving people and leaders feel critical of themselves, their abilities, or even their voice? How often do you criticize or champion your voice? And what 1% action will you take today, right now, to speak to yourself with compassion, to speak, to lead? Thank you.
Incredible. Incredible. I'm just gonna do this. Thank you so much, Precious. Wow. It's like, I don't know what you're all experiencing, but I feel awareness raised and prompt to take action, especially with that. What's that 1% we can do right now? Thank you very much for enlightening us and raising us our awareness around mastering ourselves and how it's connected to public speaking. Thank you. And I invite you to connect with Precious and follow her content on LinkedIn and Instagram. She's doing incredible work, as I said earlier. Thank you so much, Precious. And I'm going to take it to the next author. So we have Rosemarie Price joining us. When I first met Rosemarie Price, and it was actually like a phone conversation we had at first. And I felt this, like I felt from her like she's unstoppable despite like the challenges and, adversities that she's facing. And that's from our first conversation. And this conversation was about her book idea. And then I ran into Rosemary again before the summer at an event, and she's like, I did my book, I published it. And I was like, wow, like that's incredible. And I'm really excited. And I'm very inspired by Rosemary, and I'm excited to hear her read from her published book. So a little bit about Rosemary before I hand over the mic. Rosemary's passion for the arts began at an early age as she immersed herself in the world of poetry and English literature, particularly the works of Shakespeare's, which taught her the power of language and layered storytelling. Drama fascinated her, nurturing her ability to think creatively and communicate expressively. Mystery books by Enid Blyton and Hardy Boys sparked her analytic thinking and problem-solving skills, giving her a deep appreciation for constructing narratives and uncovering hidden truth. The thrill of mystery propelled her even further as she pursued studies in computer forensics and criminal investigative analysis, which allowed her to understand the thought process of a perpetrator. She hopes one day to be a crime scene investigator. We already know one, she's coming. In recent times, she created her first self-published novel it's called Through the Doorway Beyond Dreams. The Dream Door Diary has been penned with content of a dream she experienced and is packed with jaw-dropping adventures. All right, Rosemary, all yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. Okay, so I'm getting some help with showing the cover of my book in a minute. Okay, perfect. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read you an excerpt from the first book, and it's called Through the Doorway Beyond Dreams. This is the preface. Have you ever had a dream that was easy to remember and yet hard to forget? I have. My name is Amelia. Welcome. Allow me to share my dream diary with you. My journey started one evening when the elements of nocturnal nature offered me an invitation that was potently packed with persistence and mystery. How could I say no? How did they know where to find me? How did they know that I would answer the call? How did they know that I would defy the odds? There were opinions and options, feelings of apprehension and feelings of anxiety. Decisions with a destiny mindset were of paramount importance. The thrill of adventure was so profound that it synchronized with every beat of my heart. It felt like there were two of me, yet only one. It felt like there were several voices, yet only one. I watched my life on the plateau of a jigsaw puzzle with each distinctive piece. I was torn between the discovery of each unique piece while focusing on putting each piece in its perfect place. I had to capture every waking memory of each moment. If I missed any of it, a vital puzzle piece would be lost forever. This was such a mind-altering, life-transforming encounter that I thought of sharing it with you. Take my hand as we together embark on this magical journey through the doorway beyond dreams. Introduction. A fascinating story unfolds through an intriguing dream world. It declares the mysteries of extraordinary doors that surpass the limits of the intuitive. Welcome to a world where dreams and doors are packaged together to unleash astonishing adventures that leave you on the edge of your seat. Through the pages of this magical novel, the concept of the dream door will usher you into the realm of overwhelming possibilities, tailored with awe and wonder, and sometimes danger. Introducing our main character, Amelia Spencer. Amelia Spencer is a young woman with a heart longing for adventure and an interest piqued to discovering the mysteries of her dreamland. Night after night, Amelia is submerged in a kaleidoscope plateau of dreams where a sequence of doors supernaturally and magically appear and beckon her into realms that are unfamiliar to her. As she navigates through these imaginary landscapes, Amelia realizes each door has its own unique meaning, and in turn, she receives intuition regarding the unanswered questions that were cobwebbed in the crevices of her mental abode. Hidden behind these mystical access points lay fragments of forgotten memories, untapped capability, and unfamiliar missions waiting to be initiated. Propelled by an unquenchable desire for information and an inexplicable resolve, Amelia embarks on a heroic exploration to discover these secrets. Along the way, she meets peculiar dream personalities endowed with esoteric fragments of wisdom. Their role is that of guiding her in the direction of the truth that lies beyond the captivating surface of her dream world. As Amelia tunnels deeper into the world of the doors in her dreams, she finds that her mission is not just a personal assignment, but an epic undertaken with a far-reaching repercussion. The visibility of reality through the lens of her telescope at times becomes blurred as she recognizes that the doors she's confronted with in her dreams are also present in the waking world. The connection between these distant and distinct realms was unlike anything she had ever experienced. As Amelia gets closer and closer to solving the mysteries of these dream doors, she's pulled into a web of conspiracy, faces out of the blue setbacks, and comes across evil forces that are bent on shattering the positive influences concealed in the dream realm. Time is a major component both for her present and for her future. Amelia is face to face her own apprehensions, but how can she accomplish that? Should she focus more on deciphering each dream door code, or should she simply go back to sleep? Through the Doorway Beyond Dreams will transport you on a thrilling journey where the distinctive boundaries between dreams and reality harmoniously merge. Prepare to be fascinated by a tale where doors unlock not only worlds that are disguised, but also reshape destiny, redefine reality, and unearth the profound truths that lie beyond the thresholds of our slumbering minds. The Discovery Call. It all started one night. For several hours, Amelia was in a wrestling match with time and her pillow. She struggled incessantly to grab hold of the sleep that was constantly slipping through her fingers. However, after losing the battle, she decided to analyze the night landscape from her window. Leaning against the window pane, she stared out into the moonlit night. The night carpet, with its highlights of stars, seemed to be holding captive some secrets. Secrets of which she was the sole recipient, and only she could hear. There was a strong magnet of curiosity that persistently seemed to be beckoning her. Her captivation of the heavens soon caused her eyelids to become heavy. The hypnosis of the twinkling stars and their effervescent light soon made the concept of sleep an imminent reality. As she basked in the glory of her sleep and its splendor, her mind sank into a dreamlike world, and soon her dreams began to create the plateau and scenery of her thoughts. Feeling fully at ease and relaxed, she felt the need to embrace her hikers and go for a walk. She was always she had always enjoyed the art of walking, especially when accompanied by the camaraderie of solitude. The ability to observe the most intricate of things, such as nature revealing its highlights of a moonlit night as it illuminates the nocturnal backdrop, had always been quite brilliant. She walked towards the door of her apartment and felt a sense of excitement for her soon to be discovered adventure. There was no fear, no apprehension. She felt like the virtual mail carrier had an envelope with a custom-made message just for her, and she did not want to miss this moment. Her five senses enjoyed every minute of this stroll. The smell of the Lady of the Night orchid with its irresistible sweet and citrus scent was so captivating, and her nostrils and taste buds were thoroughly enjoying the perfumed experience. The trees were gently blowing in the breeze, and it seemed like there was a rehearsed sequence of movements between them and nature. That perfume smell soon transitioned to that of a light, crisp scent of salt as she approached the beach. This was one of her happy places. The consistent yet distinct formation of the waves as they eagerly crashed on the shore was truly a fascinating experience. It seemed like The ocean participated in that ritual relentlessly, yet never getting tired. She always wondered if the ocean was in a state of slumber when the waves were not making their presence felt. The experience thus far was relaxing, and the aura of the ocean made the experience even more invigorating. She was truly enjoying her front row seat at the symphony as she savored the sounds of the silent yet audible overtures of the waves. It seemed that all of nature at that moment felt honored that she took the time to pay attention to their intricacies and wanted to do all in their power to impress her. She wanted to stay, yet she knew there was more to be discovered. And so reluctantly, she arose from her front row seat and continued the journey. The beach was sadly no longer in sight, and so her next visual experiences were those of houses of various shapes and colors. One house appeared somewhat different from the others. The design and the colors were different. In the distance, she noticed that the pointed roof was positioned on the bottom and the door was at the top. This contrast of color and craftsmanship compelled her to take a closer look. As she drew closer, she discovered that even though the house was designed differently, the handle was still within her grasp. The first door of discovery. The dream transit brought Amelia to her first discovery. It was a decorative wooden door that was decked with sophisticated emblems that appeared to be waltzing in the brilliant rays of the moon. The entire aura of that door conveyed elements of secrecy waiting to be unraveled. Her overwhelming quest for resolve pushed Amelia to reach for the handlebar. The experiences she would gain from these encounters would forever change the course of her destiny. As she entered the empty space, she said hello and immediately received a reply from her echo. That echo also seemed to say, "You're welcome." There were a few sparse items of furniture, antique pieces, and some wall paintings. All of this, accompanied by its warm ambiance, seemed to suggest that it was a house. But was it? She continued her tour with caution in the event that the owner would arrive and find this stranger in their abode. Yet there was no one visible. The thought of leaving crossed her mind, yet there was a lingering desire to stay a while longer, and so she did. As an art enthusiast, her eyes were enthralled by the intricate paintings on the walls. She was so fascinated by this artistic display that she did not realize there was a long passageway in the house, and at the end of that passageway, there was a door. This all seems strange, yet intriguing, considering that while the entire passageway was dark, there appeared to be a light source emanating from the base of that door. She wondered, should I investigate further? What if the owner was behind that door? These and many other thoughts and questions flooded her mind as she pondered what to do. She could hear her heart racing with anticipation as she drew closer. She slowly touched the doorknob and felt a rush of eagerness and apprehension all at the same time as she waited with bated breath to see. Suddenly, tiny yet shrill footsteps could be heard coming behind her. She was so terrified she could hear each heartbeat rhythm pulsating through her ears. Her first instinct was to run, but where? Ahead of her there was an open door, and her first reaction was to dash through it as fast as she could, and so she did. There was hardly any illumination along the path, yet she kept running. She did not know where she was going, yet she kept running. Still in pursuit, she encountered an exit that eventually led outside. Her marathon continued for several minutes, and once again her nostrils discerned the aroma of salt. A few minutes later into her sprint, she gazed over her shoulder to see if there was any visible presence of a shadowed follower, but there was no one. Exhausted, she paused to catch her breath. The pace of her walking was back to normal as the aura of the beach continued caressing her panted spirit. There was a lounge chair in the distance, and with no one in sight, she sat down, emptied the sand from her shoes, extended her legs, and relaxed. It was so peaceful that within a few minutes, all that remained was rest. What happened that night? Her mind asked. What or who was the presence in that room? As she eagerly tried to receive the answers to these mysteries, she felt a soft and gentle touch on her arm. She jumped out of bed and discovered that her feline friend was hitting her hand with his tail. It was time for his breakfast. The ambience of her rest was so comforting that she did not hear the concerto of the alarm clock. There was barely enough time to do all that had to be done before leaving for work. And as she walked toward the door of her apartment, there was a feeling of magic and mystery as she reached to open that wooden door. The commute to and from the office was accompanied by other motorists who also seemed to be in a hurry. Yet she was able to arrive safely and on time. It was a productive day at work. She completed her month-end processing with minimal delays and had even enough time to help some of her co-workers. After preparing a meal for herself and her feline, she slumped into her favorite chair by the ajar window and rehearsed the events of the day while enjoying the soft pitter-patter sounds of the rain. It was a good day, she thought to herself, as she reminisced about her accomplishments and notable acts of kindness. Memories of the previous night's adventure were soon added to the filing cabinet of her thoughts. It was almost as if her mind started regurgitating scenes in the reverse order of occurrence. The tranquil yet profound concerto of the trees outside blowing in the wind soon lulled Amelia to sleep, and with her pristine pillow perfectly positioned, all that was heard was the soliloquy of her snores. Where am I? She thought. The waves of the ocean seemed to be silently calling her name as she arose from her lounge chair. I believe my time is up.
Well, suspenseful. That's a great suspense. We can go and purchase our copies and know what happens next. It's you're really, oh my goodness, you're really good with the description. I can literally go, you given me well, I don't know about everybody else in the room. You give me an invitation to go into my imagination, right? And really picturing that path is it Amelia, right?
Amelia, yeah, that was the
Yeah,
thought. I wanted to let the readers feel what I felt, see what I saw, and kind of hear what I heard. So I that's kind of where I spent a lot of time in the book to kind of make sure that that came over in the beginning. And with your help, of course, you kind of suggested that I kind of bring my readers through that experience. So thank you for that.
my pleasure, Rosemary. Wow. It's yeah. We definitely received that, what your intention was. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And please go onto Amazon and purchase Rosemary's book. Okay, so I actually have a quick question before we move on to our next art show. Okay, let's see here. Let me see if I can figure this out. And this, I'm just going to launch a poll. I just want to get an idea. Colleen shared in her keynote a lot about storytelling, right? and the possibilities, and you've heard more possibilities from different poets, writers, and authors so far. Before we get into the next part of our event, let me know where you sit in with this. Do you believe that you have a powerful story to tell? And it's just to raise awareness. Nobody's gonna know that you said yes, no, maybe, not ready, thinking about it. Just to get a feel of the room. I will close it in about 20 seconds. No rush. All right. I am going to end it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, share results. So you can see the results on the screen. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. That's good. We're doing something right. We don't have a no. That's awesome and not ready. It's great that we're thinking about it. So there's some awareness that's happening. Maybe, you got to figure out, okay, what is it what is in my story that I want to share and ready to share? And a lot of yeses. Thank you so much for participating in that. We're gonna move on to our art show. And so when I met Annie Christian, so we were sitting, we're waiting for a festival to begin. We're on 2 park benches, like literally across from each other. And it was just the energy that she had, like that aura. I felt compelled to like have a conversation with her. And from one conversation on the bench, and I moved over to her bench, and then she was like sharing her goodies with myself and another gentleman at the bench, and we're graciously waiting for this festival to begin. One conversation and then another meetup with Annie, and she said yes to share our art with us. I feel very fortunate to be able to witness her art and observe it, and you're in for a great treat. So a little bit about Annie. Since she was a kid, she's been into different kind of arts until she retired in 2013. She now pours all her energy in creating in everything she makes. She's an acrylic mixed media artist. Every canvas she paints is very special for her. She paints with her feelings and hopes that she conveys those in her work. Annie is grateful to be able to share her work with us today. All right, I'm going to pass it over, and I know that Jay is going to share, but you can let him know when you want him to share, Annie. It is all yours.
Well, Jay could share it anytime he wants. Here's are some of my works. I am commissioned to go to the Philippines pretty soon and want some sort of 17 big canvases that I have to do for this condominium, for their lobby and their living room and all 17 units. So, but I still have to pack small ones for the living room and bedrooms and stuff like that. So these are some of the works that I'm bringing. It's all mixed media. I put a lot of Swarovski crystals on them, silver, real silver. I do 24 karat leaf, gold leaf, silvers and coppers, and a lot of beads, a lot of, they're all mixed media. And my art is something that you don't look at. You need to touch it and feel it. And so when I had my work in a gallery, a lot of the people that would come by, and it was a co-op. It's nothing that we get paid for. We look after each other's paintings. But when they get to my area or corner of the gallery, I invite people to come and touch my painting. And they said, oh, but we're not allowed to touch. With my paintings, yes, you need to be able to feel everything on the painting. So that's all I do. And hopefully, people could see how I feel. I don't have a specific way of doing things, but whatever I feel, I get up every morning at 4 o'clock and I do my routine. I have to make sure that I put 4 hours of painting every day, no matter what. And that's why I'm an early riser and an early going to bed kind of person. And the person that I mentor her name is Jan Krabberdam. She is from Holland, and she's Swiss. And I followed her at first to Emily Carr, and then she ended up not being there anymore. So we went to Cole Harbor in Vancouver, downtown Vancouver. So I followed her there, but now she is retiring because she's not feeling that well. So anyways, I follow what she taught me for those amount of years, and this is what I came out with. So hopefully everybody would like them. But art is so personal. You cannot, feed it to people to like. So it's very personal. It's what you see and how you feel about it. And that's all my work. So hopefully everybody's enjoying it. That's all I could tell you about me. But I live where Rasie. I'm 45 minutes away from Rasie. She's in Robert Street. I'm in Pender Harbor, which is still 45 minutes drive to go up the coast. So that's how far I am from her. But yeah, I live in a little community. The first time I even sent advertisement for my husband and for myself for our mill, it was only 800 people in our area. So I traveled to Vancouver to do a lot of arts, and painting is the only thing that I could put my hands to my arts, but I do a lot of different kinds of arts. I do a lot of drumming, taiko drumming, not the contemporary one, but the traditional ones. And I do a lot of martial arts. So I put whatever I know on my paintings. And that's about it that I could tell you about me.
Thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you.
Well felt and well received.
Oh, thank you.
And you're gonna love the comments in the chat. And it's great. Colleen's asking for your social media or website. Jay's about to drop the link.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really invite everyone to reach out to Annie if you want to know where she's gonna be next for an exhibition. And or if you want to purchase art, for a gift or Christmas time. And like she shared, she's on her way to the Philippines in January. So if you want to put an order in, this is probably the time. And yeah, thank you, Annie. I absolutely love your work, and I can't wait for us to build on this connection. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to move on to our next author. There's a thing like I'm going to speak for Sierra Leonean culture. When we're from the same country and we're living on different side of the world, or even being in Sierra Leone, so we call each other brothers and sisters. So Mohamed Conteh is my brother from Sierra Leone as well. And he joined us actually last year in the audience, supporting his wife who was reading last year. So I love that he gets to read from his book today and share his newly published book. So a little bit about Mohamed before I bring him onto the stage. He was born in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He came to the United States as a teenager, began developing his writing skills during his late teens and early 20s. Then he started writing poems and short stories during that course of time. He's written quite a bit over time. He titled his first book The Release due to the timing of it. That's incredible. He believes everything is about timing, although there is not an exact time to do it. He currently resides in the Bay Area in the Northern California region with his family, including his lovely wife and two adorable daughters. In his spare time, he enjoys going on nature walks, traveling, and visiting different communities from all over the globe. I see all of the Instagram photos. As a result, he has gained a lot of inspiration by going to different places, which continues to inspire him to write. Welcome, Mohamed, to the stage. It is all yours. I'm going to pass the mic over.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so I've written quite a bit of poems, and they're layered in different sections. So I'll get started. So the first one is called On Top. I'm on top. I can see the whole world. I see mountains from up above. I'm flying, but I'm in control of my domain. The reward is unrelenting while pursuing all options. I don't want to touch down, at least not yet. Flying like an eagle, destination is wherever I touch down. The ride of my life. I'm on top of the world. So that's the first one. Okay. So the second one is titled The Chase. Um, this life is about placement. It's exposure to the sun, getting yourself ready to chase the dream. The dream is filled with promise, but promise takes hard work to fulfill. Sometimes we persevere, but it's keeping the faith and not worrying about the naysayers. It's going for the big dream. It's one big chase. The swings and the misses, to almost hitting and going for the jugular vein. The impaired threshold is doing what's necessary while paying attention to the greater details. It is what makes or breaks your dream of happening. You have to fight for what you want in a meaningful and less dramatic way. Chasing the dream happens all the time. All right, so this one, it's called Beautiful Day. It's a it's such a beautiful day, and nature at its purest form, at its purest scene. I can feel it in the air, like the ninth wonder, which has got me captivated by placing my life on cruise control. My feet are off the pedal. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful feeling. As I wake up to this beautiful setting, while knowing that I still strive for nothing less than success. The hunger for more and the burning desire has got me taking deep breaths while exhaling with pleasure. I'm feeling no pressure from the long wait at my highest peak. Let's go to this beautiful day and talk about it again. So that's beautiful day. Okay. And then this next one, it's called The Future. When unsure about the future, take it one day at a time. Not knowing where this life could lead us is an enigma. Hoping for a narrow path, unsure about what moves to take or what path that must be followed. Unclear, uncertain at times, but only time will clear things. The story about life is written daily. Should I feel depressed? One has to ask. I feel that I'm going through some things. If I die, how will I be remembered? That's my moment of honesty and clarity. Listen, I don't trust anyone. There's nowhere to go but up and nowhere to turn to on my own, festering through my lonely with self-inflicted repercussion. But that's life for you. Right. I have a lot of themes about life. This one is called Life's Lesson. One of my favorite. Live your life, you're living for the moment, day by day. Things change all the time. Regroup, take a deep breath, savor your opportunities. When it comes, you better take charge. It don't come very often. Don't worry, be happy. Get up once more and shake it off. Life's filled with obstacles. Failure builds strong character. If you never did, then you'll never know. If you never try, then you'll never become. Not knowing internally for the rest of your life. Believe in yourself, just as you should. Keep living your life. Okay. This this one is called addict. Okay. So an addict is someone who can't do without the thing. Life becomes addictive. That's why we breathe. We let the blood pump in our brain. It makes the air move in constant circulation. We train our minds to keep taking deep breaths. Each one that we take becomes a cure. Life is a medicine of itself that heals and cures. It's the point that helps us breathe accordingly. Each time that we breathe, it heals our wounds, internally and externally. Live it, breathe it, and take it all in. Life is truly one of a kind. It's an addictive medicine that some might not even know. That's why I'm so addicted to it. Okay. All right. So, yeah, this is also another one of my favorites. um, so it's called Past. Okay. So yesterday I passed. Today's news flash. Everyone whipped mercilessly. A story unfolded that began on its own. As a matter of fact, let me take you back a few decades ago to a developing story that had just begun. I was born on a hot spring day in a heated moment when my first exposure was to a turbulent wave. It was indeed a miracle. The day was magical. That atmosphere seemed just right. Excited to finally come out, flexing for more open air, holding on to a place that seemed more, I thought, not so secluded. So I absorbed a new air, seeing this beautiful new world, engage in this atmosphere, enraged in my own domain. From that day forward, the world will be according to my own viewing, according to my own taste, and according to my own senses. I am happy to have made it. However, the journey just ended abruptly, just as it started. Yesterday, I was awake. Yesterday, I passed. It's today's news flash. How much time do I have? I got quite a few. Um, okay, this part is reality. It's um, one of my sections. It's called The Truth. I saw it with my own eyes. Seeing is believing, but eyeing is optional. See no evil, fear no evil. Live life with grace, one day at a time, one step at a time, on time for everything. Respecting those who respect me. Fear none but God. The truth is what we get people to believe. It's subjective purely in its own form and interest. The truth becomes a lie, and the lie is the truth. Everything comes in full motion, and that's a lie. That's true. Okay. All right, this one is called I Am a Label. I am defined by my peers. I am defined by my income. I am defined by my critics. I am defined more than once. I am defined by my teachers. I am defined by my mentors. I am defined by my nemesis. I am defined by my friends. I am defined by my family. I am defined by what I don't have. I am defined for who I am. I'm defined by my people. I'm defined by myself. I'm defined by you. I'm defined by me. I'm just a label. All right. This one, I wrote it when I went to Sierra Leone for the first time, 2009, I think around that time, back when I went back there for a long time. So it's called I Still. The smoke inhalation was exasperating. Still I breathe. The sky was cloudy and the air was dusty. Still I breathe. Corruption City, everyone rowdy and hard to the core. Still I came. Impatient drivers, horns blown and on standby. Beep, beep all the time. Still I heard. The city in peril. I just saw a thief badly beaten. Still I watched. The traffic is chaotic, coupled with hours in the dreadful heat. Still I survive. Sweating profusely while needing a napkin, soaked in my own hot sweat, heat building up like fire. Seen so many friends, some I remembered and some I forgotten. Still I enjoyed it. The stay was great and the food was delicious. That's why I came. Okay. I don't know if I have any more time. Right.
You have about 4 minutes.
Okay. I have a lot, but okay. Um, okay. So this one is called Living in the Past. Living in the past when things are glittered and mightier, the best of times, the testament of recent times, when worrying was so much less. Everything can be so handy. Looking forward to the future, but taking it one step at a time, hour by hour, enjoying the moment, just like yesterday. No bitterness, pure joy, engage, engage into the moment. When it's gone, living in the past, like dinosaurs ruling this earth was way beyond our imagination. Living in the past, the best experience is the last. Things that you could never go back. Thankfully, it was in the past. Okay. Um, this one's called The Dream. We are all in multiple layers of dream, with each one being created each and every day of our lives. When we cannot dream, then we cannot imagine, then we cannot see, and then we cannot hear. A dream within a dream. So this one, um, it's called, I'll call this one Sierra Leone the Beautiful. We call it Salon for people from Sierra Leone. Salon, where all my troubles seem so far away, a place where I could just relax, call home and recollect. Salon, where my humble beginnings come from and humility came about. Oh, Sierra Leone, oh, Sierra Leone, the beautiful, I still believe in you. And I think I have any more time?
30 seconds.
Okay, young bull. I was raised as a young bull in the city called Freetown in a country called Sierra Leone by a street called Bunji. in a town called Frabe, went to a tiny school, yet it was so remarkable. One of the best experiences I ever had. The people were intelligent and everyone had one big ego, but we were all like a family. Sierra Leone is my home. Freetown is my city. Frabe is my town. Bunji Street is my neighborhood. Now I can come home and just relax and reminisce like the young bull I was. And be like that.
Wow.
Thank you.
Mohamed, thank you so much. It's what I was like feeling is I have all these different poems and I can flip to one each day and actually relate to something in your words to what I'm experiencing in my life. And I think someone shared in the comment that everything that you were sharing is very relatable. Thank you for bringing us into that space of experiencing life from your words. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our next author. I met Sarah on LinkedIn. And so Sarah Dawkins, and I remember connecting with her, and I saw that she's a podcast host, and I'm a bit of a podcast junkie, so I listen to a lot of different podcasts. And so I checked out her episode, and she has, sorry, that was the timer going off. She has this really beautiful presence, and from just hearing her voice on her podcast, and it's very related. The topics are a lot about health issues, so she brings on guests that share about what they've been through and how they've overcome or how they're navigating it. So a little bit about Sarah. She's a highly sought out holistic health and healing coach, keynote speaker, and the author of Heal Yourself. As a former registered nurse with over 20 years of medical experience, Sarah brings a unique and integrative perspective to her work. She's also a multi-award winning entrepreneur and host of the popular health-focused podcast, Heal Yourself with Sarah Dawkins. Sarah's expertise spans from self-healing multiple chronic health issues to supporting clients in uncovering and addressing the root causes of their symptoms, empowering them to achieve vibrant, lasting health and transformative wellness. Welcome to the stage, Sarah. I'm going to pass it over to you, and I hope I said your last name correctly. Forgive me.
No, absolutely, and thank you, Rasie. So my book, Heal Yourself, is available on Amazon. It's also in Barnes and Noble in the English version in America. And I have a Spanish, Dutch, and French translation also available on Amazon worldwide. So Heal Yourself was born of my own healing journey. And the title is Heal Yourself, the remarkable journeys of ordinary people healing themselves of dis-ease in extraordinary ways. And obviously I had to put a medical disclaimer. So the information provided in this book does not substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult a medical professional or healthcare if you need medical advice, diagnoses, or treatment. The author and contributors are not liable for risks or issues associated with using or acting upon the information in this book. And I dedicated this book to anyone and everyone suffering dis-ease. May this book help you to find a way to heal yourselves. Introduction. This book not only shows that what we are told with regards to self-healing being impossible may be wrong, but explores and showcases examples of real people proving this. Taking responsibility for our own health is more important than ever in today's society, where physically visiting a doctor is becoming increasingly difficult. Hospitals are cancelling more and more elective surgeries, and the cost of conventional treatments is ever escalating, not only in financial terms, but also in the long-term health costs of taking pharmaceuticals. Heal Yourself details a wide variety of people from different backgrounds who've decided to step outside the box of so-called conventional medicine and treatments to take back responsibility for themselves and their health, thereby embarking on self-healing journeys. They achieve this by using various non-pharmaceutical interventions and techniques that are more in harmony with the natural state of well-being. This book dedicates a complete chapter to each person, exploring their individual journey with their personal stories, in their own words, of how their dis-ease impacted their life and how they took control of their situation to bring themselves back to wellness, with the intention of inspiring others to do the same. These people were told by their doctor that their conditions are chronic, lifelong, and life-threatening, yet they've miraculously self-healed or are healing. I hope our stories help you to start your healing journey back to wellness. My life through adversity to healing and success. Throughout my childhood years, there were shed many tears. A broken home at 3, living with Dad, sister, and Uncle D. Given a new family at 7, I found it a difficult lesson. Experienced sexual abuse at 9. This was a need in others, not mine. Harsh bullying followed at 11. Feeling very low, the lack of expression. A different family and city at 14, and a real promise of living the dream. Out of this home at 17, all unreal, feeling an in-between. An encounter and pregnant at 21, gazing in wonder at the new life just begun. Heart's desire and wedded bliss at 26, feeling happy and becoming quite the eccentric. Sexual assault at 28, many years of hiding it, full of hate. Some joy in motherhood again at 30, studying 2 degrees, but feeling rather dirty. A bottomless black hole followed, a dark malady. A thoughtless start to each day, except agony. Deep depression and suicidal with life, and a yearning to end it all at 45. A light at the end of the darkness at 50. Awards under my belt, I was moving on swiftly. Here I am now at 53, healing the past, a new me, older, wiser and stronger. I'm a victim no longer. Sarah Dawkins. And a quote from Hippocrates, the natural healing force within us is the greatest force in getting well. Afterward. Following my healing journey and the collating of others' healing journeys for this book, I truly understand that for us to heal, we need to address not only our physical needs, but also our mental, emotional, and spiritual needs too. Our mental needs are our thoughts, attitudes, beliefs, desires, values, and goals. These can be critical in determining what we experience as symptoms. We can improve our mental health through meditation, mindfulness, education, and goal setting. Our emotional needs are about connections with ourselves and others. As we reconnect with our emotions through mindfulness without judgment, we can bond with our lost inner child. Practicing self-reflection, gratitude, and forgiveness strengthens our emotional needs. Our spiritual needs are connecting to our energy, our true essence, our oneness, and understanding that we are all connected. Often it is us, ourselves, that are out of alignment with our spirituality. Being conscious and present in the moment, practicing mindfulness and prayer are all supportive of our spiritual needs. Our physical needs. A healthy physical body is gained through nourishment, eating nutritious food and drinking natural beverages. Gentle exercise. Walking is great and very undervalued, and outside in green space is best. Sleep. Around 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, where possible. Breathing. A daily practice of deep and slow breathing. Plus, all the other needs being met and in harmony, as our physical body is a reflection of our mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies and needs. Sadly, modern medicine doesn't appear to take a holistic approach to health and seems to only focus on the symptoms rather than the root cause of dis-ease. This book highlights that often the root cause is a mental, emotional, or spiritual issue, manifesting real physical symptoms in the body. Therefore, as we heal our mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, our physical body heals too. Much dis-ease today appears to emanate from unresolved traumas, often from when we were small children. For us to heal ourselves, we need to undertake some inner work to resolve this trauma. As we forgive ourselves and others for not having the skills needed to deal with the situations which occurred, we start to let go of the hurt that we've held on to, often unconsciously. In forgiving and letting go, we're not forgetting. Rather, we stop holding onto it and carrying it around with us and start to heal our physical symptoms. Our body is healing every day. It's what it does, but often we just don't see what's going on. The mind-body link has been proven by many, with the placebo effect highlighting how our mind can create healing. So, if it can create healing, why could it not create dis-ease? Can we accept that it's plausible then for our body to be manifesting what our subconscious mind believes? Therefore, we are the co-creators of our suffering. So if we have co-created it, surely we must be able to heal it, right? Absolutely. If we can just believe we can heal and believe that we are worthy of healing, it is all about our belief in our belief. The healers in this book are testament to the fact that natural self-healing is possible. May you be blessed with the belief in your belief of healing. Love, Sarah. And on the back, as the author says, if I can do it, so can you. Any questions?
That was incredible, Sarah. Absolutely
Thank you.
incredible. I
Thank you.
love the emphasis on, healing our mental, how it's like all connected to different other areas of our body. And that healing is a journey. It doesn't stop. There's no destination because there's always something that we can heal and be free from.
Yes, always.
Thank you so much. You still have like about 3 minutes if anyone has any questions or any other thoughts that you want to share, Sarah.
I think the biggest thing that we can do on our own healing journey is look at what we believe our stress is, where we believe our stress comes from. Because if you break stress down, you actually find it's about your own thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions about what's happening around you, or you're wanting to control something that is uncontrollable. And we can only control ourselves. We have no responsibility or ability to control the people around us and events around us. So if we can reframe our perspectives on on people and on the world around us, we can help ourselves to relieve what we perceive to be stress.
Wow. That's a great segue for us to, walk away with and really reflect on that. Sarah, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence and in your book. And I definitely want to highlight, I wanted you to share the languages, the different languages that your book is available. I think that's super valuable for everybody to know.
Thank you. It's in Spanish, Dutch, and French, as well as English, and they're all available on Amazon worldwide.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. And the link is in the chat. And again, we're going to share those in an email to you next week. And that brings us to our next author, poet, blogger, writer, so many different things. I have had such a pleasure of knowing Joy. I call her my sister. And we've worked on so many different projects together. I've heard Joy speak and read at so many different events. And I'm super excited that she gets to join us this year again. She was here last year reading from her newly published books at a time. And she's going to join us with a new piece that she's written for us, and probably so much more. So a little bit about Joy. Dr. Joy Walcott Francis was born in Jamaica, where she spent her childhood and most of her adult life. Now residing in Canada, Joy acknowledges that as a descendant of people who were displaced by colonization, she's an uninvited guest currently residing on the unceded, ancestral, and traditional territories of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations. A social justice advocate working in the equity, diversity, and inclusion space, Joy is cognizant that representation matters, that Black voices need to be heard, in particular, the voices and stories of Black women. Her hope is to see a greater representation of Black voices and Black bodies claiming and taking up spaces of significance. Joy enjoys putting pen to paper. I was like, Joy happened twice on short pieces of writing that center cultural understandings from which her audience can make meaning. Cocktails, Cappuccino, and Courage is Joy's first book publication. And I know there's so much more that's about to come through. We're patient. We're patient. All right, I'm going to pass it over to you, Joy. It is all yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Rasie. It's no pressure. Oh. And thanks everyone for being here, and to the readers and artists who have presented before me. I receive your words and your work graciously. Thank you so much. All right, so this first piece, I have two pieces I'm gonna present. This first one is a blog that's not yet on my page, but it was just me trying to work through some of my writing processes. And it's called It's Not Procrastinating If I'm Researching for My Next Blog. Of course, my husband says that this is my attempt at consoling myself, but anyway, we will continue. I'll be honest. Too often, I find myself scrolling through endless Instagram posts, laughing hysterically at some random post, staring in disbelief, mouth wide open, chin dropped to the floor at others, or at times completely engrossed in YouTube videos, one after the other, or diving way too deep into articles about topics that I probably won't write about anytime soon. But here's the thing, it's not procrastination. Well, at least I'm trying to not see it that way, but rather as a process of research taking place. For, you see, research can encompass anything and everything from aimlessly browsing to actively gathering intel for my next big idea. So let's take a moment. Let me pause to appreciate why this so-called procrastination might actually be the secret sauce for anyone writing or planning to write their next blog. 1, inspiration comes in unexpected places. I enjoy the outdoors. I feel invigorated and refreshed by a stint outside. walking in my neighborhood, hiking a trail, exploring new cities and towns. The beauty of life around me stimulates my mind and thoughts. But that does not always translate into an inspirational piece of writing. The truth is, sometimes the most vivid and compelling content comes from those moments of unstructured research. I find that at times it is a random article, a quirky image, post, a meme, or even a thought-provoking statistic is all that it takes to spark the idea for an entire post. One of those moments that causes us to pause and utter aloud, "What the? Did I just read that?" When we're exploring freely, we're giving ourselves permission to find inspiration in places we didn't even know we're looking. Author Judith Keim reminds us that we can find inspiration in stories in just about any place. 2, staying in the loop. When we're actively researching, aka scrolling, we're staying in the loop. Recent events, trends, even the tone and language of other creators can influence our writing and help our content stay fresh and relevant. One of the most devastating things that a content creator could do is to churn out content that is stale. Thus, knowing what's already out there ensures that we're not just rehashing old content. 3, building a knowledge base. Imagine having your pre-research material right at your fingertips, just waiting for you to transform it into a captivating blog for your readers. Never a better feeling. You've already done the research. So whether you're writing about the best travel destinations, fashion trends, lifestyle, health and wellness, or whatever is your passion, having research material can serve as a springboard, cutting down the prep time for when it's time to write. 4, exploring different mediums. Text-based articles might be your usual go-to, but today the world is changing, so don't underestimate the power of different mediums. Podcasts, videos, interactive graphics, even advertisements can offer insights that articles can't always convey. Lately, I've been increasing my listenership on podcasts that pique my interest. My current most binge-worthy listen is from Fiona Compton, founder of the Know Your Caribbean platform. Intriguing and informative, every session has me snapping my fingers in excitement, brimming with anxiety on ideas for my next pieces of writing. Exploring these various formats from a different mindset have helped me generate ideas, refocus my thoughts, and think about my topics in a more creative way. So next time you're watching a seemingly random video or listening to a podcast that a friend suggested, remember, it might just be research in disguise. 5, embracing serendipity. Sometimes the best ideas come from unexpected tangents. Visualize researching top wineries, a new city, and stumble upon a trend in grape-based skincare oils and exfoliants. The heavens open up and the angels begin to sing, because who knew? You might just be onto something. And apart from immediately wanting to place an order, because that's what I would have done, what you now have is a unique angle for a post that brings a happy union to 2 topics you and your readers care about. Letting yourself be open to accidental discoveries can add depth and originality to your blog. 6th and last, the guilt-free power of purposeful procrastination. At the end of the day, what's life without a bit of curiosity-fueled exploration? By reframing our time spent wandering the internet as purposeful, we're freeing ourselves from the guilt of wasting time. After all, every bit of information is potential content. The only question is how we'll use it. So next time you find yourself knee-deep in a rabbit hole, just remember, it's not procrastination, it's preparation for your next big idea that's just one scroll away. So that's my blog. And the second piece that I have here, let me just see if I can find it. The second piece that I have here is a piece of writing that I've started just thinking about trying to really process things around my Blackness, vulnerability, resistance, and strength, everything wrapped up together. Ah, oh my gosh. I screamed and screamed and screamed loudly but silently, mouth covered. I screamed with all the strength that it took. I calmly got up from around the desk at the library and walked away, but then burst into a trot until it turned into a full run. In my head, I could hear the admonishment, no running in the library, but it was only in my head because I could hear nothing except the rush of excitement that drowned out everything. My insides flipped and somersaulted. It was finally happening. My palms sweated, and I'd finally received the letter that I was waiting for. I could hardly believe it. Well, I could, but it was surreal. I bounded up the stairs two at a time, rushed over to Colin. I'm going to be a doctor, I exploded. I'm going to do my PhD in Canada. I was beside myself. I could not contain the energy that bounced off me. I danced, jumped, hopped, skipped, and clapped my hands in glee. I was going to Canada. And off I went, excited about a new adventure. Several months later, realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I am Black. What? Yes, I am Black. Did I not know this before? I am sure I did. Growing up in the Caribbean, I was accustomed to seeing colorism conflated with classism and elitism on display. The bumpy-head gal or the Black man sporting dreadlocks not being a suitable fit for a sales position or that of a bank teller. Skin too dark, hair too nappy, hair not processed, all of which was code for not light-skinned. For us, the shade of one's skin was a signifier of where they fell on the ladder of eliteness. Being light-skinned is translated into having status, coming from a good home, and of course from a family with financial resources. But why now? Was it because I had chosen not to see what was in front of me, or was it because I had truly bought everything that I was sold? That Canada, this great land that is unlike its neighbor to the south, was much more welcoming to people like me. It shared no biases, prejudices, or hatred towards people like me. There's no racism in Canada, or at least not like there is in the US, was a message that reverberated throughout the Caribbean to people hopeful that they would finally get a chance to migrate to an overseas country where they would have an opportunity to better their lives for themselves and their families. But I am Black. My Blackness defines me. It walks with me. It shows up. It shows me up wherever, whether I want it to or not. It highlights my vulnerabilities. It tells the world that I am no better than my Blackness. That I did not understand until I migrated from the warmth and turmoil of a country that I had known for most of my life. It had become evident that the color of my skin was problematic, something to be afraid of, despised, detested. My Blackness was abject. I had become accustomed to riding the train and the bus with the seat next to me unoccupied. Standing room only, one seat empty, and it was next to me. After a while, I just kept my bag on the seat because I knew that no one, unless it was another Black person, would sit there. I'm almost done, I promise. But in a place that does not always show me love, I am reclaiming my Blackness, digging deeper into my history. For like Marcus Garvey said, a people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Over the past several months, I have become obsessed with the essence of masquerade through the culture of Jab Jab, a Caribbean, Grenadian, to be more precise, representation of resistance and liberation. As Ian Charles puts it, it's resistance, revolt against a system which have them, enslaved people, as second class, which have them as the devil. So when we get dabbed in Black and we put our horns and whatnot on, it is us satiring, us mocking the planters or the overseers or the oppressive forces. Okay, we Black, we'll give you the devil. We're gonna get more Black. In the display, and portrayal of Jab Jab, there is a recognition that for Black people, while the chains and shackles that adorn us during enslavement may always have a legacy of cruelty, in modern post-day slavery, Jab Jabs have reappropriated these meanings. It is through this that I am finding my strength, for indeed I am Black, a stolen woman on stolen lands where my Blackness is visible, where I am being forced to see myself as a visible minority. I reject this. I am Black, but I refuse to be minoritized. And I will just, for everyone's benefit, I know I've been talking about Jab and Jab Jab. I'll just drop a link here for a YouTube video that talks more about what exactly I mean by Jab Jab. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joy. You took us to many different places. Your first piece, I want to emphasize that you call us up to give ourselves that compassion, ease, and love as we're navigating our next step of like that next thing that we want to do. Like it's not procrastinating, it's research. I absolutely love that. And you'll see in the chat with your second piece, we're all related to it in so many different ways. Thank you so much for your voice and speaking for many of us. Thank you. All right, so now we are going to go into breakout rooms. This is the part where you get to speak and you get to ask a lot of questions. There's going to be about 2 authors, slash poet, writer, artist, and keynote speaker in each breakout room. And this is an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you want to know more about. Either it's about writing in general or about publishing a book. This is a great opportunity for you to get all the bits about the behind the scene. And before we do that, I just wanted to share with you one of my contacts, Val Roskins. We've collaborated on many different projects, and I reached out to her to see if she has an offer for our published authors here today. And she's shared an offer. Let me know if you can see my screen. A thumbs up is okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. So she has offered a complimentary to write a complimentary article about you, the author, and you'll be quoted and highlighted on her newsletter, and it's something that she'll share on LinkedIn as well. I think it's an incredible offer, value of $500. So if you're a published author in the room, please send me an email. Let me know that you want to take up on this special bonus offer, and I'll connect you with Val directly. So it's for everyone who's been at this event. Maybe you're watching the recording. You're welcome to take her up on that offer. So with that being said, Jay is just getting our room ready. So I'm just gonna stop sharing, and I will share this in the email next week. And Jay, give me a thumbs up when you're ready. While Jay is doing that, I'm just gonna launch another poll here. Let's see. Okay, that's weird. It's not letting me go to my next poll. If you can let me know in the chat, what is your favorite book? And it might be a book that you've heard an author, writer, poet read about. Maybe it's a poem that you heard. Let us know in the chat while we're waiting to go into our breakout rooms.
I'm ready to open the rooms.
Oh, okay, perfect. Go for it. I will pause the recording. Thank you, Jay.
And he got cut off in the middle of a sentence.
That tends to happen in for breakout rooms. It is totally expected. You're like deep into your thought and you're like, ugh. Well, It sounds like you got to connect with someone after this and have continue that conversation. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us for the second annual virtual book reading event. This brings us to the end of it. I really hope you received exactly what you needed or even more from this event. And I hope you're inspired and motivated to take that next step. And there's a ton of resources, including incredible individuals in the room that you can reach out to for your next steps. Maybe it's someone in your life who is challenged with different things in their life, and you've met so many different people today that you can reach out to for so many different things, from writing, public speaking, doing art, healing. There's so many different things, writing blog with ease and love and compassion, publishing a book. There's so many resources. I can't even emphasize enough. And when you leave the Zoom meeting today, there will be a survey that will pop up on your screen. Please fill it out if you have a few minutes to. And this is to help us improve because we want to do better. I know Jay wants to do better. I want to do better. And so that we can create an even more powerful experience in the next years to come. And there will be an email that you'll receive next week with all the links and all our authors' info, Val's offer, and also a link to the recording. I invite you to share this with other people in your life who can benefit from it. Don't keep all this information to yourself. Thank you for joining us. And I'm wishing you the best of moments, the best to you in the next steps and moments. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Rasie.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.